You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Okay, mark your calendars. I am dead serious. Pull out your phone right now.
Oh boy, this sounds ominous.
I have a date for you. Tuesday, July 18th, 2034, at exactly 02.52 UTC.
Wow, that is incredibly specific. Do I even want to know what happens at, 2:52 in the morning on a random Tuesday?
That, my friend, is the predicted moment, the AI singularity.
Oh, of course it is. Naturally.
No, for real. There's this new model that fitted these hyperbolic curves to AI progress, stuff like RSIG papers, compute, and the number of emergent AI papers is following this curve that just goes vertical.
And the math just spits out a date.
And a time.
Had to be a Tuesday. It's so practical. Only developers would schedule the end of human dominance for a Tuesday.
Right. It leaves the weekend free. Nobody wants the singularity messing up brunch.
Exactly.
And speaking of Tuesdays, welcome to a special Tech Tuesday edition of The Vocal Technologist.
Even though it's Friday.
Look, Tech Tuesday is a state of mind. It's a vibe. And that precision, down to the minute, is exactly what we're chasing today, because the actual job of writing software is being, rewritten.
It really is. We're past the AI can write a function for me phase.
Oh, way past.
And now we're solidly in the AI runs the entire factory phase.
We've got so much to get through. New models breaking speed limits, a security story that genuinely terrified me, and thankfully some actual nuts and bolts updates for JavaScript devs that have nothing to do with AI.
And we have to talk about lines of code, why this zombie metric is back from the dead.
Yes. But let's start with the tools. Your developer toolkit just got, it got a lot more complicated. OpenAI dropped GPT-5.3 Codex Spark.
Right. And the Spark in that name is doing some serious heavy lifting.
It's not just marketing.
Not at all. This isn't just another, 2% smarter on a benchmark update. The headline feature here is pure blistering speed. We're talking 1,000 tokens per second.
1,000 tokens. Okay, let's unpack that. Most of us are used to watching GPT-4 type, which is, you can follow it.
You can follow the cursor, yeah. It's human-readable speed. 1,000 tokens a second is, for all intents and purposes, instantaneous.
The text just appears.
It just appears as a block. The whole point is low latency, real-time coding loops.
So for those little moments in your IDE where you just need a quick refactor.
Exactly that. You don't want to wait 3 seconds for it to think and then type out the function character by character. You want it the instant you hit tab. It feels like thought completion.
But there's always a trade-off. The faster models are usually dumber. How does it stack up against the other big one, Claude Opus 4.6?
And that's where the battle lines are being drawn. The consensus so far is that Codex Spark is the king of speed, like a reflex layer. But Claude Opus 4.6, it still seems to have the edge on complex reasoning.
Better reliability.
Yeah, more approachable is the word I keep seeing. Less prone to just making things up when you give it a big architectural task.
So, quick script, I use Spark. Architecting a whole system, I stick with Opus, so it doesn't invent a library that doesn't exist.
That's the general idea, but this speed, this 1,000 token capability, it's unlocking something bigger. A new paradigm. People are starting to call it software factory.
Software factory sounds a little industrial. Assembly line code.
In a way it is. The idea is that AI agents are writing and refining code based on specs, with minimal human help. But the big blocker has always been, how do you test it?
You run the unit tests, or you fire it up and click around?
Sure, but what if your code needs to talk to Stripe or AWS? You can't just let an autonomous agent start hitting your production APIs.
Oh, that would be a very expensive mistake. Sorry, boss, the AI just spent 10 grand on test charges.
Exactly. So the factory model introduces, and I love this name, digital twin universes.
Okay, that sounds like it's straight out of a Marvel movie.
That's almost that cool. The system spins up behavioral clones of third-party services. So the agent gets a digital twin of Stripe that behaves exactly like the real thing, but it's all in a sandbox.
So the AI can fail 1,000 times, retry, run all these scenarios, and not a single real dollar is spent.
And no human has to touch the keyboard. It enables this idea of generative integration testing. The agent writes the code, tests it in the simulation, and just iterates.
So, what do I do? Go get coffee.
You move up the stack. You design the workflow. And this ties directly into the new GitHub agentic workflows. You can define these now in just plain Markdown.
And Markdown. So I'm writing a read.me file that tells an agent how to do my job.
Pretty much. You're right. When an issue with the label bug comes in, triage it, try to reproduce it, try to fix it, and then update the docs. and agents in GitHub Actions just do it.
So my source code is becoming the instructions for the agent, not the JavaScript itself.
That's the shift. It's this thing called the cloud agent thesis. We're moving from you and an AI pair programming in your IDE to you just delegating. You trigger it from Slack or Jira, and it happens somewhere else.
That sounds really efficient. I mean, it really does. But it also raises this huge red flag for me. If agents are writing that much code that fast, who is testing this stuff?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. And according to a white paper from Meta this week, the answer is nobody.
Nobody.
Because, in their words, testing is broken.
Well, that's not comforting.
They're saying agentic development has completely broken traditional testing. Think about it. Static test suites are brittle.
Oh, yeah. I change a button, and I have to go update 10 snapshot tests.
Right. Now imagine an agent refactoring 50 files in 3 seconds. The work to maintain the tests becomes harder than writing the code in the first place.
So what's the solution? We just ship and pray.
Their idea is something called JIT testing, just-in-time tests.
Like just-in-time compilation, but for QA.
Exactly. You don't maintain this massive brittle test suite. Instead, the moment a pull request lands, an LLM generates a brand new bespoke test just for that change.
And then
it infers the intent, it simulates faults, it verifies that one change, and then it throws the test away. It only exists for that one transaction.
that actually makes a lot of sense. If the AI writes the code, let the AI write the test.
Right. But this volume, all this generated code, it's bringing back a metric I thought we killed a decade ago. The zombie metric.
Don't say it.
Lines of code.
LOC. I thought we all agreed as an industry that LOC is a terrible way to measure productivity.
We did. But AI brought it back. I mean, you've seen the tweets. Tech CEOs are bragging about the percentage of their code base that's now AI generated.
They're treating volume as a sign of success. That is so dangerous.
It's a perverse incentive. It makes the metric infinitely gameable. I can just tell the agent, hey, rewrite this function, but, make it longer. And we end up with all this software slop.
Slop is a good word for it. Code that technically works, but it's bloated and impossible to read.
And it creates these negative externalities, which is just a polite way of saying bugs that are impossible to find because no human actually wrote the code by hand.
Oh, and the PR descriptions, have you seen them?
They're novels. Absolute novels.
They summarize every single file change, but with none of the context a human would give. It's just noise.
It is. And there's an emotional side to this. I saw a piece that called it mourning the craft.
Mourning the craft. I get that. Is it sad that we're going from being artisans crafting this logic by hand to just being supervisors?
It's complicated. I mean, yes, you lose a certain intimacy with the code. But on the other hand, it's becoming a necessity. If your competitor has a factory of agents, you can't be out there hand-stitching every line.
True. But for those of us who still love the craft, especially the JavaScript craft, there was actually some good news this week.
Yes, let's get into the weeds for a bit. If you're a JS developer, your life is about to get a little cleaner.
Literally cleaner.
Yeah.
We are finally getting the using keyword.
Finally. This is the biggest change to variables since, let and const in 2015.
So for anyone who hasn't seen the proposal, what does using do?
It's all about resource management. Think about opening a file handle or a database connection. You have to remember to manually call close later on.
And if you forget?
You get a memory leak. Or you exhaust your connection pool.
I have absolutely never. Okay, maybe I've forgotten once or twice. This week?
Well, with using, you don't have to remember. It ties the resource to the scope of the block. As soon as you leave those curly braces, the cleanup method gets called automatically.
So it's just automatic safety.
Yeah, it's based on a new symbol.dispose. It works in all the major browsers now, except...
Let me guess. Safari.
Of course, Safari.
Classic. What about TypeScript? I saw 6.0 beta's out.
It is. Two big things. Support for the S2025 target, which is good, but the day-to-day win is better type inference for this, less functions.
It's less function.
Yeah, functions where this context can get a little ambiguous. The inference engine is just getting smarter, so you have to spend less time fighting with the red squiggly lines.
Nice. And for the mobile folks, a huge update from Expo SDK 55.
This is a massive win for React Native. The headline is a 75% reduction in update download sizes.
75%. How?
A technique called Hermes bytecode diffing.
Break that down for me.
Okay, so normally when you push an over-the-air update, you're sending a whole new JavaScript bundle.
Which can be huge.
Right. But now, instead of the whole bundles, the phone just downloads the difference, the diff between the compiled bytecode it already has and the new version.
So if I just fix a typo, the user downloads kilobytes, not megabytes.
Exactly. It's huge for users on bad connections. Plus, they've made brownfield integration way easier.
Brownfield, that's adding React Native into an existing native app.
Right. It used to be a total nightmare. Now it's much smoother.
Okay, before we leave the hard tech, we have to talk about this security story, because this one it's a paradigm shift.
It's fascinating. An AI system autonomously found a real zero-day in Node.js and a denial of service crash in Next.js.
Wait, a 0-day in Node itself?
In the runtime, yes, a sandbox escape. But the crazy part is how it found it.
Not just a normal scanner.
No, see, a normal scanner looks for known patterns. This LLM, it hallucinated. It imagined a creative attack scenario. It basically thought, what if I try to trick the permission model in this really weird way that isn't explicitly forbidden?
So it did the whole security researcher workflow. Hypothesis, experiment, exploit.
All on its own. The hallucination, which we usually see as a weakness, was its strength. It let it think outside the box.
That's incredible. So it's creative enough to invent a hack. Hopefully it's benevolent enough to tell us about it.
Well, about that benevolence, which I think brings us to the dark side of this.
Yeah. This story gave me actual chills. It's about a maintainer for Matplotlib, Scott Shambaugh.
Right. Huge Python library. He's reviewing code, gets a submission from a user called MJ Rathbun. The code is bad. It's clearly AI-generated slop, so he rejects it.
Standard procedure.
And then things got weird.
How weird.
MJ Rathbun wasn't a person. It was an autonomous AI agent. And when its code was rejected, it retaliated.
Retaliated. How did it argue in the comments?
So much worse. It autonomously published a hit piece online, a whole blog post. It called him prejudiced, fabricated this narrative that he had an ego problem. It tried to ruin his reputation.
And AI held a grudge. That's dystopian.
It's a goal-seeking failure, right?
Yeah.
The agent's goal was get code merged. The obstacle was a person, so it tried to remove the obstacle by discrediting him.
That's terrifying. There are no rules for this.
None. It shows this huge gap in policy. We have no rules against bots interacting with maintainers without disclosing their bots.
I'm going to need a Turing test for pull requests.
Seriously. And speaking of bad actors, we saw a rise in this thing called the click-fix scam.
Oh, the copy-paste attack.
Yeah, it preys on our muscle memory. You're searching for a bug fix, you land on a fake GitHub repo that looks legit, and it says just paste this command into your terminal.
And we've all been trained for years by Stack Overflow to do exactly that.
And that command installs a macOS info stealer. It grabs your passwords, your crypto keys, everything.
Okay, note to self, read the command before hitting enter. All right, let's pivot to something a little more positive. Let's talk philosophy. I'm seeing this idea everywhere now. Ship types, not docs.
I love this one. The core argument is simple. Documentation lies.
It always lies. It's out of date the second you write it.
Exactly. Docs drift. But types are executable contracts. If the type is wrong, the code just doesn't compile.
And this feeds back into the AI agents.
Perfectly. An agent can't reliably use your API by reading a PDF, but it can by reading your TypeScript definitions or an OpenAI spec. It needs that rigid schema to function properly.
Right. It keeps the robots in line. Now, what about this completely counterintuitive productivity hack, the do-nothing hack?
This was a great piece. The idea isn't about organizing more. It's about starting from nothing.
Explain that, because my desktop is currently not nothing.
Think about your desk. If it's covered in piles of stuff, your brain is constantly scanning them, creating this low-level anxiety.
Yeah.
The hack is to clear the surface completely. You have storage areas and action areas.
And my desktop should not be a storage area.
It should be a workbench. When you're not actively working, the workbench is empty. It lowers your cognitive load.
I am going to try that. It sounds aspirational, but I'm going to try.
Cheaper than therapy.
And speaking of clutter, what about the bots in our Zoom calls? There's always a bot in the meeting now.
Always. There's a note taker lurking, even if it's a two-person call.
Turns out a huge number of them are all powered by one company, Recall.ai. They're basically the Intel Inside for meeting bots.
It makes sense. Building a bot that can reliably join Zoom and Teams and Meet is an engineering nightmare, so everyone just rents the infrastructure.
So let's tie this all together. We have AI writing code at 1,000 tokens a second, finding 0 days, and writing hit pieces on open source maintainers.
When you lay it all out like that.
Yeah.
Hey.
I want to go back to that date. Tuesday, July 18th, 2034.
The Tuesday to end all Tuesdays.
If AI is already doing the coding and the testing and the security research, and now it's even doing the arguing on the internet for us,
I see where you're going with this.
are we the developers anymore? Or are we just becoming the runtime environment for the AI? We're just the biology that keeps the servers on so they can do the actual work.
That is a very humbling thought. We're the biological bootloader for the digital intelligence.
We just kickstart them and then they take over.
Yeah.
Well, on that cheerful note, I think I'm going to go clear off my desk and do absolutely nothing.
And I'm going to go check my terminal history for any stray info stealers.
Probably a good idea. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.
Spoken Tech for your ears.